பாலும் தெளிதேனும் பாகும் பருப்பும் இவை நாளும் கலந்துனக்கு நான் தருவேன் கோலம் ஜெய் துங்கக் கரிமுகத்து தூமணியே நீ எனக்கு சங்கத்தமிழ் மூன்றும் தா. இன்று முதல் ஆங்கில இலக்கணம் பள்ளி மாணவர்களுக்கு பயன்படுகின்ற வகையிலே ஒவ்வொரு தலைப்பின் கீழ் நான் அப்லோட் செய்ய முனைகின்றேன். இன்றைக்கு டைப்ஸ் ஆஃப் சென்டென்சஸ் பற்றி பேசலாம்னு இருக்கேன். மாணவர்கள் அந்த கிராமர் ஏரியாவில் மிகவும் சிரமப்படுகிறார்கள், மதிப்பெண்கள் குறைவாக வாங்குகிறார்கள் என்பதை கருத்தில் கொண்டு இது ஒரு புதிய முயற்சியாக நான் செய்யலாம் என்று நினைக்கின்றேன். இதில் ஏதேனும் விடுதல்கள் குறைகள் இருப்பின் அதனை எடுத்து கூறினால் பிறகு நான் அவற்றை நிவர்த்தி செய்ய முயற்சிக்கின்றேன். இன்றைக்கு இந்த டைப்ஸ் ஆஃப் சென்டென்சஸ் இங்கிலீஷை பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் டைப்ஸ் ஆஃப் சென்டென்சஸ் அப்படின்னு சொன்னோம்னா there are 3 types of sentences, you know. The first one is simple sentence, second one is complex sentence, and finally compound sentence. A simple sentence, complex sentence, and compound sentence. These are the 3 types of sentences in the English language. இதை எப்படி நம்ம கண்டுபிடிக்கிறது? How shall we classify, or how shall we find out whether it is a simple sentence or a compound sentence or a complex sentence? அப்படிங்கிறத நம்ம எப்படி டிட்டர்மின் பண்ணுறது அப்படின்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, first of all we have to know what are all the groups of words. There are 3 groups of words. The one is a group of words without predication. Another is a group of words with a predication. Another one is a group of words with a subordinating conjunction. If a group of words has no predication, that is called a phrase. If there is a predication in a group of words, that is called a clause. So this is the difference between a phrase and a clause. If we clearly understand the meaning of a clause and the meaning of a phrase, it is certain that you will easily identify which sentence is a simple sentence and which one is a complex one, and the compound sentence. So the basic thing is that we have to define which is a phrase and which is a clause. As I have told you, a phrase is a group of words without a predication. Predication means subject and verb. For example, in cold weather, there are 3 words in this. In cold weather. If we ask you a question whether it is a phrase or a clause, you will naturally say that it is a phrase. Because in cold weather, we cannot find a verb. We cannot find a subject. There is neither a subject nor a verb. So it is clear that it is a phrase. Let us change that that phrase into a clause. When the weather turns cold, when the weather turns cold, in cold weather is now changed as when weather turns cold. Here the weather is the subject, turns is the verb. Cold is complement, we don't bother about it. We have confined ourselves to the subject and the verb. As here, when weather turns cold, we have the subject weather as a subject, turns as the verb. This is also a group of words, but with a predication. So when weather turns cold is a clause, whereas in cold weather is a phrase. Here another word is also added to that when. Let us remove the word when from that clause. The weather turns cold. The weather turns cold here. The entire sense of that group of words is complete. அது அர்த்தம் முழுசா இருக்கு பாருங்க. The weather turns cold. அந்த மாதிரி அர்த்தம் முழுசா இருந்து அது கம்ப்ளீட் ஆகி அந்த மீனிங் கம்ப்ளீட் ஆகிருந்துச்சுன்னா திஸ் இஸ் கால்ட் main clause. It's a clause. If the sense is complete, it's a main clause. If you add the word when the weather turns cold, வெப்பநிலை குளிர்ச்சியான பொழுது. So there is incompleteness in that sentence, in that clause. When the weather turns cold is not complete in sense. So this is called subordinating clause. As a clause is preceded by a subordinating conjunction when, as, because, etc., that will become a subordinate clause. If when is removed, the weather turns cold, it is complete in sentence. This is called a main clause. So we have learnt two varieties in the clauses. One is the main clause, another is a subordinate clause. The main clauses are independent clauses, whereas subordinate clauses are dependent clauses. When the weather turns cold, so something we need to complete it. Otherwise, the sense of that group of words will be incomplete, as when it is found in the phrase also. When the weather turns cold, the birds migrate. The birds migrate is also a main clause. When the weather turns cold, the birds migrate. So the birds migrate is a independent clause. The birds migrate is a independent clause, whereas when the weather turns cold is a dependent clause on the main clause. So if there are two clauses in a sentence, we can classify it as a complex sentence or a compound sentence. In this case, one clause is a main clause, another clause is a subordinate clause. If the clauses are mixed clauses like this sentence is called a complex sentence. In this complex sentence, when the weather turns cold is the subordinate clause and the birds migrate is the main clause. So this is a complex sentence. So the definition for a complex sentence is very clear. If there are two clauses in a sentence, and if one of them is the main clause and the other clause is a subordinate clause, that will be a complex sentence. It is very clear. Then what about the simple sentence? Simple sentence is nothing but single predication. If there is only one subject and one verb in any sentence, that is called a simple sentence. For example, birds migrate. Birds migrate has one subject and one verb. So it is clearly a simple sentence. Birds migrate itself is a sentence. Though it's a main clause, it's a sentence. It has only one subject and one verb. Therefore, it is a simple sentence. When it is sit together with the subordinate clause, when weather turns cold, it's a complex sentence. Taking for example, This is a common thing that we see whenever we apply for a leave to the headmaster or principal. We would use this kind of sentences. As I am suffering from fever, I am not able to attend school. I am not able to attend school is the main clause. As I am suffering from fever is the subordinate clause. For reason that I am suffering from fever is preceded by as the subordinating conjunction. There is a list of subordinating conjunctions. I'll let you know that in later classes. So, if there is a main clause and a subordinate clause in a sentence, it is called a complex sentence. Here, how shall we change the complex sentence into a compound sentence? First of all, this will be the natural way and easy way to understand this. In the case of the first sentence, as weathers, when weathers turns cold, the birds migrate. This is the first sentence. Here, the weather turns cold and the birds migrate. The weather turns cold. The weather turns cold. Here we see a main clause, because this is not dependent on any clause, any other clause. Similarly, the birds migrate is another main clause. These two main clauses are linked by the word and. These two main clauses are linked by the coordinating conjunction and. If two main clauses are linked by a coordinating conjunction such as and, so, and so, or otherwise, but yet, then it will be a compound sentence. Now you are able to understand what is a complex sentence and what is a compound sentence. In a compound sentence, there will be two main clauses linked by a coordinating conjunction. For short, you would say, you would frame it as a formula. Compound sentence is equal to MC plus MC with a coordinator in the middle. MC plus MC with a coordinator in the middle. As how we do mathematical, we memorize mathematical formulae. For example, a plus b whole square is equal to a square plus 2ab plus b square. So we memorize this for the purpose of doing algebraic calculations. Here, what we call this compound sentence is equal to CS is equal to MC plus MC with a coordinator in the middle. In case of a complex sentence, SC plus MC or MC plus SC, MC plus SC, this is the formula. Here the subordinator need not be mentioned as it is with one of the main clauses. So the two types of sentences we have seen thoroughly, and let us consider what is the important, the first and foremost clause, that foremost sentence, that is simple sentence. Simple, the very word itself is indicative that it has only one predication. Take the first example itself. When the weather turns cold, birds migrate. Here, when the weather turns cold, we have already noted that it is a subordinate clause, and the birds migrate is a main clause. Here, as we have already mentioned, in a simple sentence, there must be only one predication. If there is more than one predication, it cannot be a simple sentence. We have already known about this. So how shall we make it to have only one predication in this sentence? Birds migrate. There is already a predication. When the weather turns cold, there is another predication. So this subordinate clause can be changed into a phrase. Because in a phrase there won't be a predication. If we change the subordinate clause into a phrase, then there will be only one predication. How shall we change it? When the weather turns cold, the equivalent phrase for that is we have discussed at the outset itself. In cold weather. In cold weather there is no verb, there is no subject. In cold weather is a phrase. So let us substitute in cold weather in the place of when the weather turns cold. The sentence will be like that. In cold weather, birds migrate. Birds migrate in cold weather. So this is a simple sentence. So simple sentence is equal to, here is a formula. Simple sentence is equal to MC plus phrase or phrase plus MC. Now I sum up the formulae for framing the simple sentence, complex sentence and compound sentence. So SS is equal to MC plus phrase. CS is equal to SC plus MC. Compound sentence is equal to CPD is equal to MC plus MC coordinator in the middle. So with this we shall stop the class today. Let me discuss more facts about English grammar in my next class. Thank you for listening to what I have taught. Thank you.